He said, she just needed comfort, like it was nothing. But when I opened the door and saw my sister in his arms, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. My marriage. I didn't mean to hurt her. She just needed comfort. That was the first thing I heard when I walked past the half-closed door of our bedroom. My husband's voice, soft, careful, guilty. At first, I thought he was talking on the phone about someone from work. But then he said her name. Sophie, she's been through a lot. You wouldn't understand. My breath stopped halfway in my throat. Sophie. My sister. I stood there, my hand frozen on the doorknob. My brain scrambled for logic, for any explanation that didn't sound insane. Maybe he was talking about her breakup last year. Maybe she'd called him for advice. Maybe. But then his tone changed. Low. Intimate. I didn't plan it. It just happened. She was crying, I held her, and it went too far. I didn't hear the rest. My ears started ringing, drowning in a rushing sound like ocean waves in a storm. I stepped back slowly, afraid that if I made a sound, I'd break whatever fragile reality I was still holding on to. I pressed my back against the wall and whispered to myself, no, no, he can't mean that. Not Sophie. The floor felt unsteady. My stomach twisted, heat crawling up my neck. I wanted to walk in there, scream, break something, but my legs wouldn't move. Instead, I slid down to the floor, hugging my knees as the muffled voice inside continued. I swear, it wasn't supposed to mean anything, he said again. She needed someone. I was there. I could almost see him, his hand rubbing his face, his voice cracking slightly, the same voice that used to whisper, I love you, when I couldn't sleep. My phone was in my pocket. My fingers trembled as I opened it and pressed record. I don't know why, maybe I needed proof that I wasn't losing my mind. Then, silence. A sigh. The sound of the bed creaking as he sat down. I waited. Nothing else. Finally, I pushed the door open. He looked up like a child caught stealing. His phone slipped from his hand onto the bed. Emily. Who were you talking to? My voice didn't even sound like mine. He blinked, swallowed hard. No one. Just, work stuff. Work stuff? I stepped closer. You said Sophie's name. His jaw tightened. You heard wrong. I heard her name, Mark. I heard you say she needed comfort. He ran a hand through his hair, standing slowly. You're tired. You've been overthinking lately. You always. Don't you dare gaslight me right now. My throat burned, but the words came out steady. Tell me the truth. Why were you talking about my sister? He looked away, his lips parting but no words coming out. The silence stretched so long it started to ache. I'm going to ask you one more time, I said, quieter now. What did you do with Sophie? He exhaled sharply. Emily, it wasn't like that. She came over after that fight with her boyfriend. She was crying, Anne. I don't know. We were drinking. She leaned in. Stop. He froze. I don't want to hear another word of that sentence, I said. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. You're telling me you slept with my sister? He rubbed his forehead, eyes glistening. It just happened, okay? It didn't mean anything. I laughed, a bitter, cracked sound that didn't feel like laughter at all. Didn't mean anything? You were inside my sister, Mark. How could that mean nothing? He flinched. I made a mistake. You made a choice, I snapped. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. You chose to destroy me. He stepped toward me. Emily, please. I moved back. Don't touch me. Let me explain. You already did. She needed comfort. I spat the words out like poison. Was that before or after you lied to me about working late? He didn't answer. His silence was enough. I turned away, my chest tightening so hard I thought I'd break apart. The room spun. The walls felt smaller, the air heavier. I stumbled into the hallway, gripping the wall for balance. Behind me, his voice cracked. I didn't mean for it to happen. I turned back, tears streaming down my face. You don't trip and fall into someone's bed, Mark. You had to walk there. His eyes filled with tears. I love you. No, I whispered. You love what I gave you. You don't love me. He tried to speak again, but I was already walking away. I could hear him calling my name, footsteps following, then stopping. Maybe he realized there was nothing left to say. I reached the front door, hand on the knob, shaking. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Sophie. Her name on the screen was like a knife twisting in deeper. I answered. Hey, she said, her voice low. Can we talk? I swallowed, my throat dry. Sure. Why don't you come over? I'd love to see you. She hesitated. You sound weird. Is Mark home? I stared at the closed bedroom door down the hall. Oh, he's here, I said softly. And so are all your secrets. Emily, wait. I hung up. My hands trembled, but my voice was steady when I whispered to myself. He said she just needed comfort. I guess he forgot who needed him first. Remember our first road trip? I asked him once, laughing as we stood in the kitchen, half covered in flour. Mark smiled, brushing dough from my cheek. How could I forget? You got us lost in the middle of nowhere and swore the GPS hated you. It did hate me, I said, pretending to pout. But at least we found that tiny diner with the world's worst coffee. He leaned closer, his eyes soft. And the best pie I've ever had. Back then, everything between us felt easy, like breathing. There were no late-night whispers, no doubts, no secrets. Just love, laughter, and the kind of trust that made me believe nothing could ever break us. Sophie used to tease me about how perfect we were. You two make everyone else look bad, she'd say, tossing her hair dramatically. Mark's basically husband of the year. I'd grin and shrug. He's decent enough. Decent? She'd nudge me. The man drives across town just to bring you soup when you're sick. That's not decent, that's saint-level loyalty. I'd laugh then, not knowing those words would someday taste bitter. But back then, it was true. He'd come home early just to cook dinner with me, even if it was instant noodles. We'd sit on the couch, bowls in hand, arguing about what movie to watch. Romantic comedy, I'd say. Action, he'd counter. Compromise, romantic comedy with explosions. He'd chuckle. You're impossible. And you love it. I do, he'd say, and I believed him completely. Sophie was around a lot during those years. She'd drop by with that wide grin of hers, bringing snacks, gossip, and chaos. She had this energy that filled every space she walked into. Once, during a barbecue in our backyard, she stole Mark's tongs and took over the grill. You're burning the burgers, Chef Mark, she teased. He laughed. Then come fix them, Chef Sophie. They laughed together while I set the table, smiling at how easily everyone got along. Your sister's hilarious, Mark told me that night as we cleaned up. Yeah, I said, wiping the counter. She's loud, dramatic, and she steals all the attention, but she's got a good heart. He nodded. She's lucky to have you. I remember that night so clearly. The lights were dim, the house smelled of smoke and summer, and he kissed me softly before whispering, "So am I." Those words stayed with me for years. Sometimes, when we fought about little things, money, laundry, missed calls, he'd pull me into his arms and say, "We'll be fine. We always are." And I'd believe it. Because that's what love felt like to me then, unshakable, patient, safe. We weren't perfect, but we were us. We had a rhythm. Friday night takeout. Sunday morning pancakes. Random drives to nowhere just to talk about life. I used to think those were the kind of memories people grew old holding on to. Once, during one of those drives, I asked him, "Do you ever get scared that love could fade?" He glanced at me, one hand on the wheel. With you? Never. I smiled, resting my head on the seat. That's a dangerous promise. He laughed. Then I'll take the risk. I didn't know how much weight that sentence would carry later, the way promises rot quietly before they break. But in that moment, all I saw was the man I'd chosen, sunlight flashing through the car window as he smiled at me like I was the only person on earth. Even Sophie saw us as untouchable. She'd joke, "If you two ever break up, I'll stop believing in love." I'd laugh every time. "Then you're safe forever." She'd grin, "You better be right." And I thought I was. The three of us even had a small tradition: Friday game nights. Monopoly, Uno, whatever we found lying around. There'd be pizza boxes on the table, soda cans everywhere, and laughter so loud the neighbors probably hated us. Mark always cheated at Monopoly, and Sophie always caught him. "Caught you again," she'd yell, snatching fake money from his hand. "Unfair advantage," he'd protest. "You two team up against me." "Because you're terrible at lying," I'd tease. "Guess I'll just have to charm my way out of it." He'd wink, and I'd roll my eyes, pretending not to smile. Those were good nights. Simple. Human. Warm. I didn't notice the small shifts: how Sophie started staying after I went to bed, how Mark's laughter lingered longer when she was around. Back then, I had no reason to doubt either of them. Once, I even told Sophie, "You know, I think Mark likes having you around. Says you make the house feel alive." She laughed, flicking her hair. "That's because I'm everyone's favorite." I smiled. "You wish." She grinned. "Please, you know he likes my cooking better." I laughed. "Sure. Tell yourself that." I thought it was harmless teasing. Sisters being sisters. But maybe I should have paid attention to the way Mark smiled quietly during those jokes, or how he didn't deny it. Still, even thinking back now, I can't blame the woman I was then. I was happy. I was loved, or at least, I thought I was. I remember lying beside him one night, half asleep, his arm draped over me. The room smelled like his cologne, the faint hum of the ceiling fan filling the silence. "Promise me," I whispered. "We'll never become strangers." He kissed my forehead. "Never." I believed him. Completely. That was the night I realized how love can blind you, not because it's fake, but because you want it to be real so badly, you stop seeing the shadows forming around it. And I swear, if I'd known what was coming, I would have memorized that piece a little longer. I would have held his hand tighter. Because that love, the love that felt safe, was already slipping through my fingers. I just didn't feel it yet. "Hey," I said, leaning against the kitchen doorway. "You're home late again." Mark dropped his keys on the counter and rubbed his eyes. "Yeah. The new project's a mess. I had to stay back and fix reports." "That's the third time this week," I said carefully. He gave a tired laugh. "What can I say? I'm the only one who knows what I'm doing." I tried to smile, but something inside me twisted. "You could have texted." "I made dinner." "I didn't want to bother you," he said, opening the fridge. "I figured you'd be asleep." "I wait for you," I said quietly. He paused, then sighed. "I know. I'm sorry." He kissed my forehead, and I let it go. But that night, when he showered, I picked up his phone to check the time, and saw a message from Sophie. "Don't forget the file tomorrow, winking face. I stared at it, confused. Sophie didn't work with him. "What file?" When he came out, towel around his waist, I asked, "Why is Sophie texting you about a file?" He froze for a second, just a second, then laughed. "Oh, that. She's helping me with a client pitch. She's good at writing proposals." I frowned. "Since when do you two talk about your work?" "Since she offered to help," he said, brushing it off. "Relax, Em. She's your sister. She just wants to help." I nodded, forcing a smile. "Right. Of course." But that night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling the words, "She's your sister." The next morning, I called Sophie. "Hey, what's this about a file?" She laughed. "Oh. Yeah, Mark needed a sample presentation for a client. I had one from my old job, so I sent it." "That's it?" "Yep," she said easily. Don't sound so serious. What's wrong? Nothing, I said quickly. Just asking. You worry too much, she teased. He's lucky you care this much. I forced a laugh, pretending her tone didn't sting. Yeah. Lucky him. Later that week, Mark cancelled dinner plans. Can't make it tonight. Meeting ran late. I sighed into the phone. Again? I'll make it up to you. You've been saying that for 2 weeks. Emily, please. I'm trying, okay? I'll be home soon. He hung up before I could reply. I ended up going out with Lisa instead. She took one look at me and said, "You've got that face." What face? The one you had in college when you knew your ex was lying. I laughed weakly. This isn't that. Mark's just busy. She tilted her head. Too busy for his wife. Stop, I said, trying to sound amused. He's not like that. Okay, she said slowly, sipping her drink. But maybe you should stop defending him before you even know what's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Lisa gave me a look, the kind that said she didn't believe a word. You sure? I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. When I got home, Mark was already asleep on the couch. His phone buzzed on the table. I glanced at it, another message from Sophie. Glad it went well, winking face, talk soon. I sat down beside him, heart pounding. I wanted to wake him and ask. I wanted to yell. But instead, I stared at the screen until the words blurred. The next morning, over coffee, I asked, "How'd your meeting go?" He smiled. Good. Nailed it. With Sophie's help? I asked. He chuckled. You're not jealous, are you? I just didn't know you two were this close, I said carefully. He shrugged. She's easy to talk to. That sentence hit harder than it should have. Easier than me? He looked up, surprised. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, I said quickly. Forget it. He sighed. You've been acting weird lately. Because you've been distant, I said. You come home late, you hide your phone, you make excuses. I'm not hiding anything, he snapped. Then softer, you're overthinking. You always do that when you're stressed. I'm not stressed. He reached across the table, taking my hand. Then trust me. Please. I nodded, because arguing felt useless. But that afternoon, Sophie showed up at my door with her usual bright smile. Hey, sis. Brought coffee. I tried to smile. You didn't have to. Of course I did, she said, setting the cups down. You sounded tense on the phone yesterday. I'm fine. You sure? She asked, tilting her head. You look tired. I just haven't been sleeping. She sipped her coffee. Work stress? I hesitated. Mark's been busy. She nodded. Yeah, he told me. That project's been brutal. I froze. He told you? Yeah. We talked about it yesterday. I forced a small laugh. Wow. You two talk a lot lately. She grinned. What can I say? He's easy to talk to. The words hit me like a slap. I stared at her, searching for something, guilt, discomfort, but her face stayed smooth, relaxed. She noticed my silence and laughed softly. Don't look at me like that. You're making it weird. I'm not, I said, even though I was. It's just, new. What's new? You and Mark being close. She smiled faintly. He's like a brother to me. The phrase felt wrong, like a lie wrapped in sugar. When she left, I sat there staring at the door long after it closed. I told myself I was overthinking. Lisa's words echoed in my head, maybe you should stop defending him. That night, Mark came home late again. He kissed my cheek and said, "You're quiet." Just tired. Want to watch something? Not really. He sighed, sitting beside me. You're upset. I'm fine. No, you're not. I looked at him, searching for the man I used to know. Mark, are you happy? He blinked. What kind of question is that? Just answer. Of course I'm happy, he said, but his voice cracked slightly. Why wouldn't I be? I smiled faintly. I don't know. You just feel, somewhere else lately. He reached out to touch my face. I'm right here. But I couldn't feel him. Not really. Something invisible had shifted between us, and no matter how tightly I held on, I could sense the distance growing. And deep down, I knew that somewhere in that space, between his lies and my denial, the first crack had already formed. I still remember the sound of my heartbeat that night. It wasn't just fast, it was loud, like it wanted to warn me before I even saw what I was about to see. Are you still at work? I had texted him an hour earlier. No reply. The clock read 10:47 p.m. He'd said he'd be home by 9. I stood by the window, staring at the rain. My phone finally lit up, running late. Don't wait up. But something in me didn't believe him. I called my sister. Hey, is Mark with you? She hesitated. No, why would he be? I caught the pause, the tiny tremor in her voice. You sound strange. I'm just tired, she said quickly. Go to sleep, okay? But I couldn't. Something about her tone twisted my stomach. I grabbed my keys. If I'm wrong, I told myself, I'll just laugh it off tomorrow. The rain hit my windshield in angry streaks as I drove. His car wasn't at the office. The parking lot was empty except for one familiar silver sedan, my sister's. For a second, my brain refused to make sense of it. I sat there, gripping the wheel. No, I whispered, it can't be. I turned off the headlights and followed the small road that led to home. My stomach burned the whole way. When I reached the driveway, both cars were parked outside. My lights stayed off. My hands trembled so hard I almost dropped the keys. Inside, the house was dim, only a faint glow from the bedroom down the hall. And then I heard it, laughter. My husband's voice. Then a woman's. My sister's. The sound hit me like glass breaking. I stood outside the bedroom door, shaking. I wanted to scream, to vanish, to wake up. Instead, I pushed the door open. The first thing I saw was his hand on her back. My sister gasped. He froze, eyes wide, color draining from his face. Emma, he started. Don't, I said, my voice breaking. Don't say my name right now. He stood up, half-dressed, stammering. This isn't what it looks like. My sister pulled the blanket up, tears already forming. Please, listen. Listen? I laughed, sharp, ugly, foreign. You want me to listen? To what? To how my husband and my sister decided to comfort each other. Mark reached for me. It just happened, okay? She was upset, we were talking. I stepped back. Upset? About what? My marriage? It wasn't planned, he said. She just needed comfort. Those words, she just needed comfort, sliced straight through me. She needed comfort? I whispered. From you? From the man who promised to protect me? My sister's voice cracked. You were distant, Emma. You barely talked to him anymore. He was lonely. I turned to her. So you decided to fix his loneliness? That's your excuse? Her tears came fast. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Stop lying, I said. You meant every second of it. Mark stepped closer, desperation in his eyes. I love you, Emma. I made a mistake, but it doesn't erase what we have. What we have? I snapped. You mean the life you just burned down? He grabbed my arm. Please, calm down. Don't touch me. I yelled, yanking away. My knees felt weak. I wanted to collapse but pride kept me standing. My sister covered her face. I'm sorry, she whispered. You don't get to say sorry, I said coldly. You were supposed to be my safe place. The silence that followed was suffocating. Rain tapped against the window like it wanted to drown out our words. Mark broke first. We didn't plan it. It just happened one night when you were working late. We talked, Anne. And what? I cut him off. You tripped and fell into betrayal? He flinched. I know how it sounds, but I swear it wasn't about love. That's supposed to make me feel better? He shook his head, eyes wet. I didn't mean to hurt you. I stared at him. You didn't mean to. You had a choice. Both of you did. You just didn't care enough. My sister whispered, Emma, please. We were wrong. I was wrong. I turned toward the door. Save it. You already said everything with your actions. Where are you going? Mark asked. Anywhere but here, I said, grabbing my coat. He stepped in front of me. We can fix this. Please, just talk to me. Talk? I said quietly. What's left to say? Every word from you feels like poison now. He lowered his voice. I didn't stop loving you. I looked at him, really looked, and saw nothing but a stranger wearing my husband's face. Then maybe your love isn't worth much. He said nothing. My sister sobbed softly behind him. I reached for the door handle. You'll both have to live with what you did, I said. I just have to live with knowing I trusted you. He tried one last time. Emma, please. Don't walk away like this. I turned back, tears stinging my eyes. You already made me walk away the moment you touched her. And then I left. The hallway felt longer than ever. My footsteps echoed against the walls, each one heavier than the last. I could still hear their voices faintly, muffled apologies that meant nothing. Outside, the rain hadn't stopped. It poured harder, washing the makeup from my face as if trying to cleanse the night itself. I stood by the car for a long time, clutching my keys, gasping for breath that wouldn't come. My whole body trembled, not just from the cold, but from the weight of everything I'd just seen. I finally whispered to myself, she just needed comfort. The words burned in my throat. I laughed bitterly through the tears. And I needed honesty. I started the engine, watching the house fade behind me in the mirror. It looked so peaceful, so normal, like nothing had happened. But everything had. And I knew, in that moment, my life would never sound the same again. The first morning after felt like waking up in someone else's life. The air in my apartment was heavy, my chest tighter than my blanket. My phone kept buzzing on the nightstand, but I couldn't look at it. When I finally did, there were 21 missed calls, half from Mark, half from my sister. One text from him sat on the screen, please, talk to me. It wasn't what you think. I almost laughed. What did he think I saw? A misunderstanding of naked betrayal? I threw the phone onto the couch and stared at the ceiling. The silence in the room felt cruel. Later that day, my mom called. Honey, what's going on between you, Mark, and Claire? He came by, said there was a misunderstanding. I closed my eyes. A misunderstanding? That's what he's calling it. Emma, please, she said softly. You two can work this out. Don't throw your marriage away over one mistake. One mistake? My voice cracked. Mom, he slept with my sister. The line went dead quiet. Then came the sound of her exhale. I don't know what to say. Maybe start with not defending him. I'm not, she said weakly. I just can't believe this. Well, believe it. I saw them. She sniffed. Claire told me she regrets it. She says she didn't mean to hurt you. She didn't mean to. I snapped. She planned it every time she came over, smiling, hugging me, pretending to help me cook. Emma. I can't talk about this right now, I said, hanging up before my voice broke. I sat in the dark for hours after that. The clock ticked loud enough to feel like mockery. Every sound reminded me of them, the rain, the whisper, his voice saying, she just needed comfort. The next day, Lisa showed up without calling. She had a bag of takeout and a look that said she already knew. Don't say anything, I told her, opening the door. If you hug me, I'll cry. She hugged me anyway. I did cry. When we sat down, she opened the food. You've eaten, right? I shook my head. Emma, she sighed, you have to eat something. I can't, I whispered. It feels like everything inside me's already rotting. She stared at me quietly for a moment. He called me too, she finally said. I looked up. He what? He wanted me to tell you he's sorry. That he still loves you. I laughed, sharp, bitter. He loves me. That's rich. Lisa leaned forward. Do you want to tell me what happened? I saw them, I said. In our bed. My bed. My sister and my husband. Her eyes widened. Oh my God, Emma. Yeah. I wiped a tear with the back of my hand. He said she needed comfort. That was his excuse. Lisa's voice hardened. Comfort? From her sister's husband? That's disgusting. I nodded, staring at the untouched food. I keep replaying it in my head. Wondering if I missed the signs. Maybe I pushed him away. Maybe I... Stop, she interrupted firmly. Don't do that. This isn't on you. But I was distant. After Dad's surgery, I wasn't myself. I stopped laughing, stopped caring about date nights. Maybe that's why. Emma, she said, grabbing my hand. He made a choice. She made a choice. You don't get to carry their shame. Her words hit me like a sob I'd been holding for days. I looked down, tears splashing onto my jeans. Then why does it feel like I'm the one who failed? Because you loved him, she said quietly. And love makes us believe we could have fixed something that was never ours to fix. The room fell silent again. The rain outside had started up, soft against the glass, the same rhythm as that night. My phone buzzed again. I ignored it. Lisa asked, have you talked to your parents since? I nodded slightly. Mom thinks I should forgive him. Dad won't even speak to Claire. He said she's no daughter of his anymore. Lisa's eyes softened. That's a mess. Yeah, I said. And I'm the tornado that started it. She shook her head. No. You're the one standing in the wreckage, not the one who built it. I stared at her, letting that sink in. For the first time in days, I felt air move through my chest again. I keep hearing his voice, I said. Every time I close my eyes, I see them. It doesn't stop. Lisa squeezed my hand. It will. Not today, not soon, but it will. I don't even know who I am without him, I admitted. My whole world was built around him, our plans, our future. Then it's time to rebuild, she said softly. Piece by piece. Without them. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe I'd wake up one day and not feel this hollow ache. Later that night, after she left, I sat by the window. The streetlight cast long shadows across the floor, my life split into before and after. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Mark, I'll never stop loving you. I stared at it for a long moment before typing, you already did. Then I blocked his number. I didn't cry this time. I just sat there, breathing. The silence didn't feel cruel anymore, just empty, and maybe that was okay. When the phone rang again, it was my sister's name. I let it ring until it stopped. I whispered to myself, not tonight. For the first time since that night, the tears didn't come. Just the faint sound of rain, quiet, steady, forgiving. And maybe, somewhere inside all that silence, I started to forgive myself too. It had been 5 months since the night everything fell apart. I didn't count the days anymore, but sometimes, the quiet reminded me exactly how long it had been. Are you sleeping better? Lisa asked one afternoon over coffee. Better than before, I said. I still wake up sometimes expecting him beside me. Then I remember, and it's like falling through air. She stirred her drink slowly. You can't keep living in that night, Emma. It's over. I know, I said softly. But it plays in my head like a broken movie. Every sound, every word. Lisa leaned forward. And what does replaying it give you? Nothing, I admitted. Just proof that I survived it. She smiled faintly. Then maybe it's time to start proving you can live past it too. Her words stayed with me long after she left. That night, I sat on the couch, scrolling through my old photos, Mark's smile, my sister's arm around me, all those birthdays and road trips. They looked like strangers wearing the faces of people I used to love. The next morning, I called the landlord. "I want to end the lease," I said. My voice didn't even shake. He asked, "Moving out?" "Yes," I said. "Moving on." Lisa helped me pack. "You sure about this?" she asked as we filled boxes. "Yeah," I said. "Every corner here still smells like them." She nodded. "Good. Burn the ghosts before they burn you again." I laughed quietly. "You and your poetic advice. Hey, I've had practice. You're not my first heartbreak case." As we worked, she found an old framed photo, me, Mark, and Claire at a barbecue. I froze when I saw it. "Want me to toss it?" she asked. I took it from her, looked at the smiling faces, then placed it in the trash bag myself. "No hesitation," I said. "Proud of you," she said, bumping my shoulder. We moved the last box into her car before sunset. When the apartment door closed behind me, it felt like exhaling after holding my breath for months. Therapy started the following week. My therapist, Jordan, asked me during the first session, "Why do you think you're here?" "To stop being angry," I said. "And are you angry?" "Not as much," I said. "Mostly empty." He nodded. "Emptiness is space. You can fill it with something new." It sounded like a cliché, but it lingered. Over the next few weeks, I learned how to sit with silence without hating it. I walked in the park. I cooked just for myself. I talked to Lisa about things that weren't him or her. One evening, Lisa and I sat on her balcony watching the city lights. "You're smiling again," she said. "Am I?" "Yeah. It's weird, but in a good way." I chuckled. I forgot what that felt like. "You're getting stronger," she said. "Even your voice sounds lighter." "Maybe," I said. "I still have bad days though. Some mornings I wake up angry all over again. That's normal. Healing isn't clean." I sipped my tea. "Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever forgive them." Lisa tilted her head. "Do you need to?" I thought for a while. Maybe not. Maybe I just need to forgive myself for not seeing it sooner. She nodded slowly. That's where freedom starts. After she went to bed, I sat alone, listening to the quiet hum of the city. I didn't cry. I didn't think about what they were doing. I just existed. It felt strange, but peaceful. Weeks passed like that, quietly, steadily. Then one night, while I was reading, my phone buzzed. The name on the screen made my heart lurch, Claire. The message preview glowed, I wish I could undo it. I stared at it for a long time, the words blurring. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, but I didn't type anything. Lisa's voice echoed in my head, "You can't heal if you keep living in that night." So I didn't reply. I turned off the phone and placed it face down. My silence was my answer. The next day, I told Jordan about it. "Why didn't you reply?" he asked. "Because I didn't need to," I said. "She knows what she did. I don't have to explain my pain anymore." He smiled slightly. "That sounds like closure." "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe it's just peace." After the session, I walked home slowly, watching the sunset wash the sky in gold. For the first time, I didn't feel like the world owed me an apology. I just felt, here. When I got home, I stood in front of the mirror. My eyes looked tired, but not broken. My smile was small, but real. I whispered to my reflection, "You made it through." And for once, I believed it. It had been almost a year since I last saw him. I wasn't expecting to, not in that tiny cafe on a random Sunday morning. I just finished yoga, hair still tied up, wearing no makeup. Life was simple now, quiet, uncluttered. Then I heard his voice. "Emma?" I froze. For a second, I thought my mind was playing tricks. But when I turned, there he was, Mark. Same eyes, same mouth, but something had changed. He looked smaller. "Hey," I said carefully. "Wow," he breathed. "It's really you." "Yeah," I replied. "Didn't expect to see you here." "I come here sometimes," he said. "They make good coffee." "Guess some things never change," I said, forcing a faint smile. He nodded awkwardly. Can I sit?" I hesitated, then gestured to the seat across from me. "Sure." The silence between us felt like an entire history condensed into one breath. "You look different," he said finally. "Happier." "I am," I said. It took a while. He stared at his hands. "You deserve that." I sipped my coffee slowly. "So, how've you been?" He gave a hollow laugh. "That's a long story." "I've got time," I said, though I wasn't sure why. "Maybe curiosity, maybe closure." He exhaled heavily. "Claire left me." I didn't flinch. "When?" 3 months ago." "Why?" "She met someone else," he said quietly. "A coworker. Said she didn't feel the same anymore." The words should have stung. Instead, they just landed softly, like distant thunder. "I'm sorry," I said, and I meant it. He laughed bitterly. "You don't have to say that." "I'm not saying it for you," I said. "I'm saying it because I know what that kind of pain feels like." He looked up, eyes wet. "Yeah. I guess you do." For a while, neither of us spoke. The clinking cups and low chatter around us filled the space where our marriage used to live. "I think about you a lot," he said suddenly. "About what I did?" I didn't respond. He went on, voice trembling. "I ruined everything. I thought I was chasing happiness, but it was just guilt wearing a pretty face." I stared into my cup. "You don't need to explain, Mark." "I do," he said quickly. "You were the only person who ever really loved me. And I threw that away." His words hung between us, raw and desperate. "Do you want me to feel sorry for you?" I asked softly. He shook his head. "No. I just want you to know that I see it now. All of it. What I did. What I lost." I leaned back. "Good. Seeing it is the least you can do." He nodded, eyes red. "Claire said the same thing before she left." "Then maybe you both finally learned something," I said. He looked at me, searching for anger. There was none left to find. "I thought you'd hate me forever," he said. "I did," I admitted. "For a long time. But hate's heavy. I got tired of carrying it." He swallowed hard. "You always were stronger than me." "No," I said. "I just didn't have a choice." He looked down at his coffee, untouched. "I lost the only person who truly loved me. The old me would have cried. The new me just listened, calm as the tide." "I hope you find peace," I said quietly. He looked up, confused. "That's it? What else is there?" I asked. "You got your karma. I got my closure." He gave a weak smile. "You really have changed." "Yeah," I said. "I had to." He stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. "You seem free." "I am," I said simply. "For the first time, I'm not defined by what someone else did to me." He nodded slowly. "I wish I could start over." "You can," I said. "Just not with me." That one landed. He blinked hard, then looked away. "I don't blame you," he whispered. "You deserved better than what I gave." "I found it," I said. "In myself." The silence that followed wasn't tense this time. It was acceptance. He glanced at the door. "I should go." "Yeah," I said. "Take care of yourself, Mark." He stood, hesitated, then said softly, "You always did make coffee look dramatic." I smiled faintly. "Guess that's my talent." He left without another word. I watched him step out into the sunlight, the same man, but somehow smaller against the bright day. Lisa called me later. "You sound different," she said. "What happened?" I ran into him. Her tone sharpened. What did he say? That he lost everything, I said. And that I was the only one who really loved him. She paused. And how did that feel? I looked out the window. Like closure. No satisfaction, she asked. None, I said. Just peace. Lisa exhaled softly. That's what healing looks like. Yeah, I whispered. Karma did the talking for me. When the call ended, I sat there for a long while, tracing the rim of my mug, thinking about how far I'd come. No revenge. No bitterness. Just the quiet justice of time. And for the first time in years, I realized I didn't need anyone to lose for me to win. I already had. The rain was soft that evening, not heavy enough to soak, just enough to make the world shimmer under the streetlights. I stood by the window with a cup of tea, watching droplets race down the glass like tiny endings finding their way home. My phone buzzed. A notification, one new voicemail. His name flashed across the screen. I hadn't seen it in months. Lisa's voice echoed in my head, "You don't owe him another second of your time." I stared at the phone. Then I pressed play. "Hey, Emma, it's me." His voice cracked a little. "I don't even know why I'm calling. I thought about us. About how things used to be. I wanted to say I'm sorry again. I know you probably hate me. I deserve that. But I hope you're doing okay." A pause. "You were the best thing that ever happened to me." Click. The voicemail ended. I set the phone on the table and exhaled. It didn't sting this time. It didn't even ache. It was just a sound from another life. Lisa called right then, like she always did when I needed grounding. "Hey," she said. "You sound quiet. You okay?" "Yeah," I said softly. He called again. There was a sigh on the other end. "Did you listen to it?" "I did." "And?" I smiled faintly. "Nothing. I felt nothing." "That's not nothing," she said gently. "That's healing." "Maybe," I murmured. "It's strange though. I used to dream about him apologizing, you know? I thought it would fix something inside me. And it didn't?" "No," I said. "Because there's nothing left to fix." Lisa was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You sound peaceful." "That's new." "Yeah," I said. "It is." I walked toward the bookshelf, tracing my fingers along the old photo frame still flipped backward. "I've been thinking a lot about forgiveness," I said. "Oh? People talk about it like it's this noble act, like you give it to someone else. But it's not. It's something you give yourself." Lisa's voice softened. "So, are you ready to give it to yourself?" "I think I already did," I said. "The moment I stopped wanting him to hurt." "That's powerful," she said. "Really?" I laughed quietly. "Took me long enough." She chuckled. "Healing's not a race." After we hung up, I sat on the couch and scrolled through old photos on my phone. There was one of us, Mark, Claire, and me, all laughing during a barbecue. My sister's arm around my shoulder, his around my waist. We looked like a picture of trust. I almost smiled. Then I deleted it. There was no anger, no bitterness. Just space, clean, empty, free. A knock at the door startled me. It was my mom. "I was in the neighborhood," she said, stepping in with her usual motherly inspection. "You look well." "I am," I said. She sat down. "I saw your sister yesterday." My chest tightened slightly. "Oh?" She asked about you. I nodded slowly. "What did you say?" "That you're doing fine," she said. "Because you are." I looked at her, searching her face. "Do you still talk to her?" "Sometimes," she admitted. "She seems lost." "She made her choices," I said. "I know," Mom said gently. "But she's still your sister." "I know that too," I said. "I just don't know who she is anymore." Mom reached across the table and held my hand. "You don't have to," she said. "Forgiveness doesn't mean reunion. Her words lingered like soft rain. After she left, I walked back to the window. The rain had stopped. The world looked washed clean, like it had been crying quietly and was now ready to start again. I picked up the phone. The voicemail still sat there. I tapped it once more, letting his voice echo through the quiet room. "Hey, Emma." It felt like listening to an echo from a cave I no longer lived in. I whispered to the phone, "I forgive you. But it's not for you." Then I hit delete. The screen went blank. The silence that followed wasn't empty, it was peace. A text from Lisa popped up almost instantly, "Dinner tomorrow?" My treat. I typed back, "Only if there's cheesecake." Her reply came fast, "Always." I smiled. For the first time, I realized how much life had returned in small pieces, the laughter, the quiet mornings, the freedom to choose what I wanted without fear. I thought about the woman I used to be, the one who stayed up waiting for him, who questioned her worth because of someone else's choices. I wanted to reach back and tell her, "It gets better. You get better." I stood, stretched, and opened the window. The air smelled like wet earth and something new. Maybe peace wasn't loud or dramatic. Maybe it was just this, standing alone but not lonely, breathing without heaviness, existing without needing to prove anything. I sat back down and opened my journal. 1 year ago, I lost everything I thought I needed, I wrote. But what I found was myself, the version that doesn't beg for love, that doesn't chase apologies, that doesn't break when someone else leaves. I paused, then added, "Forgiveness isn't letting them in. It's letting them go." My eyes landed on the corner of the room where the wedding album used to sit. It wasn't there anymore. I'd donated it weeks ago, along with the ring and the old letters. That empty shelf used to feel like loss. Now, it looked like freedom. The rain started again, gentle, rhythmic. I closed my journal and leaned back, letting the sound fill the quiet space. Maybe this was what peace sounded like. I thought of his last words that night, "She just needed comfort." Maybe she did. Maybe they both did. But I needed something else. Truth. And now, I finally had it.